YouTube here. I haven't done one in a while since the Justin Fields trade went down, and you know, listen, I am astonished. I'm happy for that deal. Again, it's something the Steelers had to do to break in the narrative, but then you see the Bills, and I guess they're trying to go a different direction, maybe, or they're trying to do kind of what the Steelers are doing, where they want to break the narrative and get rid of some of the drama. And part of that drama was, of course, Stephon Diggs. And what people fail to, in essence, kind of realize is there was turmoil there. Like after week one, there was turmoil there. Like no matter what you think and how they acted behind the scenes, there was the argument between the two of them after week one against the Jets. Stephon Diggs is like, what the fuck, blah 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 blah, whatever it was, and then all of a sudden, it's Josh Allen's like, it's one fucking game, like calm down. And the fact that Houston's taking a gamble, and listen, I understand why Houston's taking a gamble on this, because their window of opportunity is now with CJ Stroud, and you don't know what it's going to be when the rookie deal's done. Like, you don't know where his value is going to be, to where they may not be able to afford to pay him and another team can. So why not go for it all now? I mean, you can't knock them for doing it. I mean, there's a lot of teams that got to start following that motto. It's a win now league. It's not like, oh, let's just build for the future, build for the future. I mean, you see that with some teams like the Eagles in the draft, right? Where they know these guys, the Fletcher Coxes of the world, the Lane Johnsons, the Jason Kelce's, all these guys are at these peaks in their career where we got to start thinking about replacing them while they're still here. So that's why the Eagles have been drafting for the future, but they're already an established built team. But as far as the Bills, this kind of shows you the ineptness of Brandon Beane a bit. Because if you look at the trade, with Houston and the Bills and the Bears and the Steelers and Chase Claypool, Stephon Diggs, okay? We got more. I wouldn't say more, but we got a higher caliber draft pick for Chase Claypool, who didn't do anything near what Stephon Diggs has done. And the Bills literally got, I think it was like a fourth or fifth round draft pick in 2025. It's not even a pick you can utilize this year. So now wherever they're picking, they got to either draft up to get one of these, young receivers, or they're going to have to make do with what they got in their wide receiver room. I don't know what they're going to do, but it's kind of one of those where, can Josh Allen do this without, I wouldn't call Diggs an elite receiver, but I would call him a talented receiver, but he's a talented receiver with a lot of head drama. I shouldn't say I've never seen a receiver like that, because I would kind of put Antonio Brown in this category. A guy who's more worried about getting his stats than winning. Like, God forbid Diggs doesn't get his 100 yards a game. And it was the same thing with Antonio Brown. And it's kind of mirroring that same thing with Ben and Antonio, and then Allen and Diggs. And I think Buffalo is smart to make do now and get rid of them. That's why Minnesota got rid of him. And Houston kind of made this. A lot of people say they made this look worse, because then they void the last 3 years of his deal. And I think it's smart in a way, because you get Stephon Diggs to actually have to mature, because this is the last time he's going to be able to negotiate a long-term deal and a big money deal. So he's got no choice but to walk the fucking straight and narrow here. I mean, it's clear as day. That's what he's got to do. I mean, if guys like Antonio Brown had done that, just walked the straight and narrow, they'd probably still be here, but he's not. But with Diggs, though, it's... I think Buffalo gets hurt by this deal. I think Buffalo gets hurt by making the move, but it's a move where if you're a Bills fan and you're a knowledgeable one and you know that there's drama in that locker room between the two of them exclusively, you really have no choice but to sit there and analyze this and go, yeah, you got to do what's best for the team because if you have two guys barking at each other in the locker room, outside the locker room, on the sideline during the game, it's going to mess around with the rest of the team chemistry, and you really don't want that. So Houston is showing you that they're willing to go all in. Um, I'm not saying they win a Super Bowl this season coming up, but again, Houston did something that a lot of teams didn't think they were going to do. Win the AFC South, make it to the playoffs, destroy Cleveland, and then they get destroyed by Baltimore. But I mean, CJ Stroud proves that he belongs, and I think it with having Nico Collins, Tank Dell, and now Stephon Diggs, you have that three-headed monster. But now here becomes the issue: when Nico's getting all the catches and Diggs isn't, and when Tank Dell's putting up better yards than Diggs is, are we going to have the same problem on the sideline? That's something that a lot of people aren't thinking about because Texans fans are like, yeah, we got Diggs, we got this three-headed monster now. No, nobody's stopping us, da-da-da-da, whatever, right? But did you stop and think? Did you really stop and think? Ready? Nico Collins had his best year last year. Tank Dell would have had his best year if he didn't get hurt. You now add Diggs into this locker room. Is Diggs going to be the guy that goes, all right, if I only have 5 catches for 40 yards, but Nico Collins won the game for us, or Tank Dell had a better game than me? Is he going to be the team guy, or is he going to be the me guy? And that's something, again, you got to, if you're a Texans fan, you got to look at this and go, because if you don't look at it from that perspective, then I don't know really what else to tell you here. I just don't. I mean, you could sit there, you could tell me I'm wrong. But again, this is just all analyzing. This is all just opinion. It's not like we don't know what's going to happen yet. They haven't stepped on the field together yet, so we don't know what the chemistry is going to be. We don't know any of that. And you could say that with a lot of guys going to new places. You could say that with the Steelers and Russell Wilson. Although Wilson's doing the right thing, he's already building that chemistry and working out with everybody he could possibly work out with. Like he's already working out with Fryermuth. He's already calling out, reaching out to everybody like, hey, we got to go here and work out. We got to go here and do this. We got to go here and do that. And that's something that if Diggs wants that last long-term deal somewhere, he's got to do it. And I got asked, what was it? Yesterday morning, I got a message on Instagram, from a listener, and he goes, "What do you think of the Diggs deal?" And I said, it is what it is. You can't knock it, but you have to examine everything involved in it from his behavior in Buffalo, as far as in the locker room and on the sideline. And you just hope it doesn't transition over and start creating a toxic environment for CJ Stroud. Like Josh Allen's a guy who he just sat there and he dealt with it, and he voiced, like listen, if Diggs got loud with him, Allen got loud back. He's like, listen, it's one fucking game, bro. It's week 1. Granted, you shouldn't have lost to the Jets. If Aaron Rodgers is in the game and you lost, all right, it's one thing. But you lost to Zach fucking Wilson. Come on. You shouldn't have lost to Zach Wilson. But, so like I told the guy, so listen, I said, well, there was a lot of things that were in this. I said a lot of things people didn't know. And that got released later on in the day. I think Friday, even some of it today. Reports were Buffalo let him seek a trade. That he could seek a trade with any team but one, and it was Kansas City. And we'll get to the whole Rashee Rice thing because people have been asking me. So for those who have listened to the past episodes, I can now maybe go a little further in depth into this with more that has come out. But I understand why you'll block a player from seeking a trade with one team. But if you're gonna let him seek a trade, why wouldn't you just say, listen, you could seek a trade in the NFC, like see if Dallas will take you, see if Green Bay will take you, see if Chicago will take you, see if like the Giants will take you, or the Eagles or the Commanders or the Falcons or the Buccaneers, it's somebody over there. Like you still have them in the AFC, but now see now here's the thing, and everybody's intrigued by this. So you have a lot of revenge games this year. People like to double them. You also have one that's interesting because Houston plays Dallas. Trayvon Diggs will be back. Brother versus brother. Can Trayvon shut down Stephon? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But a lot of people have been asking me about Rasheed Rice. What I think of the situation. Listen, the kid made a mistake, but the more that's coming out, and listen, there's people that are like, he made a mistake. You're judging him based off of this mistake, and that part of it's true. But I feel in this regard, maybe a different way, I'll lean towards on this one. I get you're still a young kid at heart, but you're an adult, and you have to start acting as such. So, should you have been racing Lamborghinis and Corvettes in the Dallas area in the middle of traffic, thinking that you guys are Dominic Toretto and friggin' Brian O'Connor and Fast and the Furious 1, seeing who could win the fucking quarter mile for a friggin' 10-second car? No, I don't think you guys should have been doing that. But when the incident occurred, should you have walked away? No. You should have just taken the accountability then and there. But I'm sure the people he was with, and I'm sure some of them aren't the best influences in his life, probably told him, yo, bro, just run. They're not going to know it's you. But then the dash cam footage comes out. And then this comes out. And then that comes out. And then he decides, all right, I'm going to cooperate. Okay, that's all well and good. So you're going to start taking accountability. But now it's getting worse. Because now you have the whole, well, he'll get punished by the NFL. He'll get punished by the Chiefs. But now there was apparently about almost 11 grams of marijuana found in the Lamborghini. That's a felony in the area of which all this occurred. So, and the district attorney there says he plans on pressing full charges. Nobody's bigger than the law, whatever it is. And then the same person that messaged me goes, do you think this is as bad as Henry Ruggs? It's hard to say no, and it's hard to say yes. It's depending on the person. Me, there was people that got injured in this accident, but there was no fatality. So it's not as bad, but it's just as stupid. And in the Ruggs situation, it was really dumb because Ruggs should have never been behind the wheel of a car. But apparently, another thing I read is that Rasheed Rice shouldn't have been either because from what I heard, people were saying that he was seen drinking champagne or whatever, and he might have been intoxicated. So, again, they're two stupid decisions made by two young, talented NFL athletes and two human beings in general. That one already lost his career, and Rasheed Rice's might be done before it ever even started. As far as his progression in the NFL, and you hate to see it, but it's a real life event that occurred, and you just gotta, I don't know, you kind of gotta fucking grow up a bit. When you when you get to the NFL, you gotta realize that you gotta kind of change the way you used to act, and you gotta go from here, and you gotta start acting here, and you gotta, instead of saying this, you need to say this, and instead of doing this, you need to do that. And add something. Rasheed Rice, some people just, they can't do it. Like Aaron Hernandez couldn't do it. Aaron Hernandez, Aaron Hernandez was a great tight end, but he could never escape where he came from. Like he still had to be the hood guy, and that's something you gotta let go when you get to the NFL. You have to realize once you get to the NFL, you're in a better place now. You're not living, on scraps. You're in the NFL now. You're making money. You could afford the more luxurious things and all that other good shit. And Ruggs threw that away. And I don't know what the punishment is going to be with Rashee Rice. People keep asking me what I think it's going to be. I can't tell you. I don't know because until it's all sorted out, everything is speculation. This one heard this. This one's reporting this. This one said that. This one's seen this. So, as far as the punishment goes, I would say at least for the foreseeable future, he shouldn't be allowed to play this year. And there'll be Chiefs fans that go, "Oh, that's not fair." No, it is fair because I think the NFL needs to. They really need to start setting a precedence when it comes to holding their players accountable for any incident, not just this, but their domestic violence, their sexual assaults, all of it. The NFL needs to hold these players to a higher standard of, listen, you know better, but you're still doing this shit. So we're gonna suspend you. And I don't care how hard Goodell's got to go on it. And we've seen he's very weak at a lot of punishments. And I think you got to look at this and go at least a year suspension or indefinite till it's figured out. I mean, you've indefinitely suspended players for far less for failing a drug test, which, by the way, John Bones Jones, like, I know they got to get drug tested regularly, whatever it is, whatever the guidelines are, for MMA and boxing and all that shit, right? So the woman shows up at 4 in the afternoon. He goes, "Why y'all motherfuckers got to show up this early?" I didn't know 4 p.m. was early. I mean, since when is 4 p.m. early? Unless you've been up partying all night and you're just waking up. That's one thing. But I mean, when all's said and done, John Jones is throwing his MMA career away by doing the dumb shit even he's doing. I mean, he's another guy who's just never going to learn, but yet gets chance after chance after chance. So eventually Dana White's got to sit there and go, "Dude, no more chances. Stripping you of the title. You can't fight in UFC anymore. You can go to fucking Bellator. You can go to you could go to, I forget the name of the other one, but friggin' go fight there and let them deal with your shit." But we got to also, so the past few days, MLB has a problem. Loizaga is down for the year, torn UCL. The kid Strider, I think his name is, from Atlanta, same thing. He's probably going to be out the whole year. Shane Bieber, same thing. So you're probably going to sit there and go, what's MLB's problem? Why is this occurring? The consensus is, to be honest, it's the pitch clock, because these guys are being forced to throw faster, so you don't have time like the way the Greg Maddoxes of the world had time to pitch. And now, in essence, you're just asking a pitcher to be a thrower. And when you're doing that and you have to get the ball out faster than you normally would, it's going to create more injuries. So for wanting to speed the game up, you've created a higher injury rate now. I understand Major League Baseball doesn't want people watching 3-4 hour games, but you're going to get that if it goes into extra innings. I mean, if you let these guys just pitch it the way they used to, there are games that before the pitch clock went by faster than what it does now with a pitch clock for some of them, even without going to extra innings. So they created a problem that it wasn't there before. Like, did you ever see Greg Maddux having to have Tommy John surgery? No. Oral Hershiser? No. David Cohn? No. But then again, David Cohn tried to throw hard all the time. And don't get me wrong, you can wind up having Tommy John surgery with or without the pitch clock. I get that. People are going to say, well, some of the Jacob deGrom had it before the pitch clock. And yeah, well, when you're throwing hard every time, like Brent said in our last Cigar and Sports episode, they're not pitchers, they're throwers. People have been messaging me about it because, then I referenced it in one of my latest episodes, and they're like, how are they just throwers? Well, when you're asking a guy to just go up there and just throw, there's like no art to it anymore of like trying to locate trying to locate your pitch somewhere where the batter can't hit it, they're in essence just throwers. And the injury rate's only going to go up. I mean, in the matter of 48 hours, three pitchers are already down for the year. And how many more are going to succumb to this? Till MLB looks at this and goes, we either make the pitch clock longer or we get rid of it entirely. And I think getting rid of it entirely, it might be its best option. And that's where people are going to debate, do you keep the pitch clock? Do you not keep the pitch clock? Listen, at this point, take it or leave it. I mean, that's the way some are going to say it. Some are going to be like, no, we need the pitch count. The game goes faster. No, we don't need it. The game goes by just as fast without it. And people are going to, and in that argument, it's going to be, look at the injury rates now. Look how many pitchers are going down because of it. I mean, think about it. You have almost 2 months. Well, not really 2 months, but yeah, about, depending on the team and when their opening day is and when they start playing. But you figure pitchers, catchers report like a few days after Valentine's Day, something like that, or before it. So they're already getting stretched out, warmed up, and they're already building their velocity back up. So you've had enough time to stretch everything out you needed to and get back to where you were the season before. So it's not that's attributing to it. It's having to rush through your pitches now that in essence is what's creating the problem. And like I said before, it's going to lead to arguments across the board. People saying, no, you're wrong, I'm right. No, your take is stupid and MLB doesn't have a problem. Okay, well, if MLB doesn't have a problem, then why is Shane Bieber down for the year? Why is Loizaga down for the year? I understand freak injuries occur out of nowhere. Something could just snap. I get it. But you're going to tell me that there isn't a problem? Then you're not watching Major League Baseball then. Just putting that out there. You're not watching the same baseball then that I'm watching. Because to me, these pitchers look rushed. And you could sit there and say they're not rushed. And, listen, Max Scherzer was very vocal about the pitch clock. It was a problem then. And it's a problem now. I mean, listen, we're all allowed to formulate an opinion. And we're allowed to debate the opinion. And I could have my opinion and you could have your opinion. And you don't have to agree with my opinion. I don't have to agree with yours. Or you could agree with it and I could agree with yours. But we could always find that common ground within our opinions. So I know there's going to be people that watch this and they're going to speculate their own opinion and they're going to either, hey, Jim, listen, great points, da-da-da, whatever. But, okay. And then the messages will come, well, this is what they could do. All right, you want to make it a minute pitch clock? At that point, you might as well just throw the fucking thing away. Because what's the sense in having a minute? And then, because if you do that, all right, so let's hypothetically say Major League Baseball says, all right, we're going to change it to a minute pitch clock, and the injuries still occur. We're going to have the same argument again, and then it's going to be just throw it away. So, I mean, I really, I don't know at this point, but I figured I'd pop on for a few minutes. I haven't done a live in like 2-3 weeks, maybe now. This Friday night, we should be live again with Cigar and Sports. E-Man's trying to work on getting 2 guests on. So hopefully that works out, because if it does, this episode is going to go off the fucking rails. But, I just want to thank everybody, who continues to support everything that we do. All the shows I do. Whether it's hopping on YouTube Live, doing a TikTok, my regular shows, doing Steel and Teal with Garrett, Cigar and Sports with E-Man, whatever it is, thank you. It's appreciated, because, without any of you guys, none of us are doing this shit. Like, for real, none of us are doing this. So I just want to say thank you. Hope you guys enjoy this episode. And I should be back Monday with a new fan in the van. I'm sure some of this will get discussed again. So, we'll have that to discuss. Obviously, it's WrestleMania season. WrestleMania is tonight and tomorrow. So, I'm sure Whitey will join and want to discuss whether Cody finishes the story or not. So we'll wait and see. But till the next one, stay safe. And as always, peace.